15 minutes after 8, and thanks for staying with us here on Morning Live. Well, this week, more than 35 national standard bureaus from across Africa have gathered in Durban for the annual conference of the African Organization for Standardisation, or ARSO. And these bodies function very much like our own SABS, who, among others, develop standards to advance socio-economic well-being and also deliver relevant conformity assessments to facilitate access to markets for industry. And to tell us more about the importance of standardization, particularly across the continent, is the current president of ARSO, Dr. Gadzikwa. Thank you so much for speaking to us this morning, Dr. Eve.
Good morning to you.
So, first off, why is the standardization process so important?
Well, the standardization is so important, especially now that we are in a continental free trade area. I think, as you know, Africa for a long time has been trading, with itself, with various countries in Africa. However, the rate of trade has been very low. At some point, it was as low as 4%, and right now it is going up to 10%. But would like it to go up to at least 50% to increase the inter-Africa trade. So the issue of standards is actually very central to African countries to enable them to trade. And basically, the African Organization for Standardization was established way back in 1977 when the forefathers realized that under a united Africa, where all countries are trading, standards becomes the common language. And therefore, standards are very, very important. And Africa is now realizing that we need to be able to trade with each other. And one of the ways to do that is to harmonize our standards on the continent.
How big a challenge is that? Because one could imagine that people from more developed countries may feel that they may catch the short end of the stick and that they may be saddled with substandard commodities from elsewhere.
Yes, of course, the challenge of substandard products has been a major problem in Africa because, as you know, largely we've been importing a number of our products from outside of our continent. And therefore, there has been a realization and a great concern amongst the governments in Africa to ensure that the consumers are protected. Because a number of countries are still exporting raw materials. So under the African Organization for Standardization, it has become a mandate of this continental body to encourage, the establishment of common standards, harmonized standards, and also to ensure that the consumers are protected. So especially the smaller countries where we see that there's no capacity to test. So we also need to be able to establish a minimum benchmark in terms of conformity assessment and testing. And this is the reason why it is so critical for Africa to realize that under the African Organization for Standardization, it should play a critical role in terms of guiding the member states of what is needed in terms of standardization and testing and also conformity assessment.
And how is this likely to aid in economic development and growth, particularly sustainable growth on the continent?
This is extremely important. Actually, this year, the main theme of the ARSO 24th General Assembly events has been what role should standards play in terms of sustainable development, especially within the context of the continental free trade area. And what it is that it is really, really important. And we are realizing now more and more that as we go forward, we know that countries are at different levels of development. We would like everyone to come on board. And one of the mandates that we have under the African Organization for Standards is to make sure that we grow our membership to ensure that no one gets left behind.
Well, we're going to have to leave it there. Very important work being done out in Durban, and that was obviously also what we will be reporting back on as soon as we can, because, as she said, sustainable development crucial on the continent, and that was Dr. Eve Gadzikwa. Well, we're going to get a latest sports update from Valen. Shea Messi fans, Argentina fans still licking their wounds, but of course much more going on.